What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting they're possibilities for you to consider, in which you can then come up with your own logical conclusions.
It's been decided that you will be dressed as a priest to help you get away in the pandemonium afterwards. Chun-Jin will give you a 2-piece Soviet Army sniper's rifle that fits nicely into a special bag. There's a spotlight booth that won't be in use. It's up under the roof on the 8th Avenue side of the garden. You will have absolutely clear, protected shooting. You are to shoot the presidential nominee through the head. And Johnny will rise gallantly to his feet and lift Ben Arthur's body in his arms, stand in front of the microphones and begin to speak. The speech is short, but it's the most rousing speech I've ever read. It's been worked on here and in Russia on and off for over 8 years. I shall force someone to take the body away from him. Then Johnny will really hit those microphones and those cameras with blood all over him, fighting off anyone who tries to help him, defending America even if it means his own death, rallying a nation of television viewers into hysteria to sweep us up into the White House with powers that will make martial law seem like anarchy.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow decoders around the world, wherever you may be, both male and female, my name is Logan, and this is Decode Your Reality, and today we're going to be doing another scripted reality. This will be number 9, which of course means endings and completions. I may finish up this series. I'm not sure if I'm going to go beyond this. I don't think I will have to, because what I'm about to show all of you, to me, is absolutely more undeniable support that we live inside of a predestined, scripted reality. And the scripting is not done by mankind. Mankind simply carries out the script, but the script is written by the supernatural, the God, the energies outside this reality, whatever that looks like. And there's a lot of moving parts to this. So as I often say, ladies and gentlemen, get yourself strapped in, put on a pair of headphones. This one, out of all the scripted realities I've done, is by far the most convincing that we live in a scripted reality. I'm going to drop some bombs in here. Well, anyway, I'll let it do the talking for you. Let's jump into this. Before I do that, in the beginning of this presentation, I had playing the 1962 movie called The Manchurian Candidate right here. If you haven't seen this movie, they redid it in 2004. Amazing, with Denzel Washington and Liev Schreiber. But that was the great Angela Lansbury, the actress. And what's so crazy about her is in the 1980s, she played on a show called Murder, She Wrote. Murder, She Wrote. No accidents there. And it was all about the Red Queen. It was about the Queen of Diamonds, which you saw the card in the very beginning when it started to play. And this was all about mind control. Okay, this was all about mind control. And that's what we're going to talk about during this presentation of Scripted Reality number 9. So here are some of the methods to my decoding that I will be using. I'm just trying to tighten this up a little bit. For those of you that are kind of new, just follow along. Returning subscribers, thank you so very much. But these are the layers I'm going to blend together and synchronize together to show you the scripted reality. So cards of illumination, typical deck of playing cards. 52 cards in a deck. We have mathematics. We're going to be showing the golden ratio, the digits of the 1.615. We have numerology, the science of numbers, of course. I'm going to be actually showing the astrological map at the very end. Those of you that are astrology fans, showing you how astrology has a say in this reality. I'm going to be bringing in tarot, of course, to get the pictures. We're going to be showing some alchemology, some alchemy. And yes, we are going to be showing some theology during this presentation to show you again, it does not matter what way you follow. These are all in bed together. They all work together to show you this script playing out before us. So here's where it all begins, ladies and gentlemen. I had no idea I was going to decode this. And this is, as fate would have it, yesterday I watched a stand-up comedian skit, and he was talking about the worst shooting massacre in the country of Australia ever. It was called the Port Arthur Massacre. Okay, and it was done by this guy right here. This is the one that he ended up pleading guilty, and now he's serving a life sentence. And I'm going to leave all these links, but here he is right here, and then here's the Port Arthur Massacre right here on the southern part of Australia and Tasmania. Okay. And I went through so much material, hours and hours, especially this right here. I'm going to leave this in the description. It's almost an hour long. I've watched witnesses. I've watched real footage from this thing. And so I'm pretty convinced that this really did happen, and that Martin, who pled guilty, who's serving a life sentence, was the perpetrator. And it's pretty bone chilling when you go watch some of the footage of his interview. But anyway, what I also wanted to show you the synchronization of is in 2017, the worst shooting massacre in the history of the United States in Paradise, Nevada, otherwise close to Las Vegas. It was in Paradise, actually, the Route 91 massacre. So you have Stephen Paddock's, the perpetrator, who supposedly shot himself in the Mandalay Bay Hotel on the 32nd floor, 32, tied to mind control. There's someone in my head, but it's not me. And then Martin gets arrested and tried to escape at first, but he got arrested, and you can go research it yourself. But the worst shooting massacre in Australia, the worst shooting massacre in the United States. 60 dead here, 35 dead here. And what do they have in common, these two here? Well, they have this card in common. The Queen of Diamonds, which, again, if you watch the beginning of this presentation, the intro was from the Manchurian Candidate, and there's the Queen of Diamonds right on the card. It was the Red Queen that was running the show, okay? And this card right here is the birth card of Martin John Bryant and Stephen Craig Paddocks. Coincidence? The worst massacre in the United States, worst massacre in Australia. Coincidence that they both have the same birth card? I think not. Okay? And if some of you say, well, they're under the guise of mind control, right? Mankind's controlling their mind. Well, then I would just refer you to go watch my MK Ultra Decoded, where I showed the guys of the MK Ultra that created it, Alan Dulles. These guys' minds were being used. They didn't get a hall pass. So it's all fractals. And I showed this during my MK Ultra Decoded. Even the people at the top of the pyramid that you think are at the top are subordinate to the supernatural. Okay? And so we're going to talk about this 38 here because it has to do with both these people here, the worst massacres, United States and Australia. Okay? And here's the start of it, ladies and gentlemen. You know, it happened in Nevada. It was Paradise. Okay? And it was Port Arthur. They both start with the letter P, which is the 16th letter, which is tied to Shiva. Shiva's 16. And they together, they equal the number 66. I did the distance betweens. I could have brought that in there. Crazy syncs in this one. Okay, but I'm trying to really get this a little tighter and tighter. But 66 is a very big number here. It's tied to this element called Dysprosium, which means hard to get. What does that mean? Well, if something is using mankind, it's hard to get. Okay? And then the 38th card, that is the birth card of Stephen and Martin, it's tied to the number 163. 163 is the 38th prime number, and it just so happens that it's the atomic mass of dysprosium, one of them, the 163. And I want you to keep in mind that one of the most famous scriptures in theology, which talks about putting your faith in Jesus, it's 3 verses 16. Okay, it's just a permutation of that. All right, so that whole story is not what you think it is, but that's for a different story. You know, the 66, Bethlehem, the city that Jesus was supposedly born in, 31 degrees north, 35 degrees east, 31 and 35, 66. Okay, so that story is much different than what most people think it is, but again, let's, for a different time here, let's keep moving on here. So this is kind of the centerpiece and really the focal point for this presentation and this worst massacre in Australia's history. It's the birth card of Martin Bryant and Stephen Paddocks. And the Queen of Diamonds, when you say it through numerology, it equals 66. And you just go right back up here. Hard to get. Dysprosium. Okay. The 38th card in the tarot is the 2 of Cups. And it means contract. That's what this means. This is our contract that you're under while you're here in this reality. And you don't have control over this reality because you're under a contract. Okay? And this is the trifecta right here. The pulse of light, and then the caduceus, the transverse electromagnetic wave, which is the kundalini in all of us, and we chase after that. This is the trifecta. And this means contract, ladies and gentlemen. And then the Queen of Diamonds converts into the 77th card in the tarot, called the Queen of Pentacles. It can be card 76 or 76 or 77, depending on if you use the Fool twice. And what's so interesting about the 77 is, if you watched my Hotel Capricorn, Hotel California, the 5 band members who wrote or sang the song Hotel California, their birthdays add up to 77. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. 77. This is such a big, big, big deal. I got more to show you here. So I'm just kind of getting the whole thing started, ladies and gentlemen, so bear with me. So the Queen of Diamonds, being card number 38, is going to tie itself into the major arcana card called the Hangman. This is the card of Pisces. That's why I got the Piscean symbol here. The Queen of Diamonds is going to sit inside the house of Pisces. So if you watched my Astro Alchemy Decoded, okay, I broke all the elements on the periodic table from 1 to 52, and then I broke down all the cards, your birth cards in here, and what house you're going to sit in through astrology. And the Queen of Diamonds is connected to strontium and the sign of Pisces, the fish, okay, which Jesus was a fisher of men. Okay, so the Christ story is in here. It's not what you think it is, but anyway, that's for a different story. So again, the Queen of Diamonds was the big standout for this movie in 1962, remade in 2004. Liev Schreiber, Denzel Washington, one of my favorite movies of all time, The Manchurian Candidate. It had the Queen of Diamonds right on the damn cover, okay, because it meant mind control. All right, mind control. Now, if you go research the story of this kid, he's very disturbed, very low IQ. Just wait till I show you, ladies and gentlemen. Just insane. Here's one of the other covers of the Manchurian Candidate. And of course, it was David. David is the number 16. 16 is tied to the Tower card, but there's the Queen of Diamonds on the actual movie script here. So just more stuff. So let me just narrate this for you, ladies and gentlemen, because we got a lot going on. Number 1, in mathematics, that 38's big. So where does it measure in the string of the golden ratio? This is the source code, like all the numbers behind everything. This is what, if a coder codes something, this is the supernatural coding this reality. The golden ratio is such a big piece of that. And the number 38 occupies 2 digits. It's a double digit, a composite number, digit 33, digit 34. And that, just like that, it covers what it means to be a human being, because the majority of us have 33 vertebrae that go up the back. Some of you, very small amount of you, may have 34. 33 and 34, 67. 67's tied to holmium. Ho, ho, ho. That's Santa. Santa coming down the chimney. Okay, this is how tightly woven this script is. It's just unbelievable, really, this script. And then the 12, which is where the Queen of Diamonds sits in, the House of Pisces, the Hangman, where does that sit in the string of the golden ratio? It occupies digit 122 and 123. And bam, just like that, you have the all-seeing eye of Horus, which is, this is what your brain looks like. Okay? All of you have all 12 houses, including Ophiuchus, if you want to include that. You have all 12. You're all 12 houses, all of them. You're all 12 zodiac signs. There are no exceptions to that. Every single one of you are all 12, which means you are part of the Hangman. Okay? And you're part of mind control because of this situation right here. Antimony comes from the Greek words antimonos, which means not alone. You cut your brain in half, this is what you're going to see. The dark spot in the middle, that's the thalamus. The thalamus is equaling number 27. The word heaven is 27. The word currency is 27. There's so many other words that link to that number 20. Ensof is 27. There's so many layers to this. You could bring in any religion, context, does not matter. It's all going to lead to the same exact source. And this is what it leads to itself. The brain and spinal cord. And I have a decode coming out called the Tree of Life. And here it is. Here's the Tree of Life. It's your spinal cord going up to the brain. Okay? And then all the nerves, they come out of there and you get your circulatory system, but the spinal cord, the vertebrae going up to the brain, this is the main function of what it means to be a human. This is the Tree of Life right here. And I got confirmation on this. Of course, I showed this, so I've shown it so many times, the 48's tied to, looking for love and the Knight of Cups. I got confirmation of this just a few hours ago before I started this presentation. I was making some food and I asked my little Alexa over there, which I don't want to interrupt, to play some music. And I said, play some heavy metal. I'm looking for a sign. And you know what song was played? Dr. Feelgood. No joke. Now, if you think I'm actually going and trying to find a song to try to dupe you and try to pull the wool over your eyes and get one past you and try to mock you and screw you over, I think you really better go look at more of my work. That's the farthest thing that I'm trying to do here, ladies and gentlemen. My mind is being used to show you this information. And this was another example. This is not the first time I showed it in many other decodes, asking songs and what to play something. This is it right here. This release date, August 28th. You know what day the worst shooting in mass history was, ladies and gentlemen? What day do you think it was? The 28th of April. So now, if you think, what does Dr. Feelgood mean? This reality is not real, folks. It can't be real. All the craziness down here. We're living in a movie, and when you watch a movie, it's not real. Something's watching us. It's not real. Okay? And this was just confirmation. Tree of Life. Okay? Dr. Feelgood. Think about it. Feelings. This was the confirmation. And so, I decoded the CIA just a little bit ago. Thanks everybody for supporting this. And I had broken down their unofficial motto where it says through the Bible, John 8:32, and ye shall know the truth and the truth shall make you free. Well, right there. It's tied to the 77 iridium. 77 appears at digit 37 and 38. Remember what the 38 was tied to? His birth card. It's all mind control, ladies and gentlemen, but you think the CIA is not being used? Their minds are not their own as well. I don't care how high up in the totem pole you think you are. That's the truth that's going to set you free. You're being used to play out your character. 77 is tied to Hotel California. 5 band members equal 77, their birthdays. You check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. The truth that's going to set you free is realizing your life is a screenplay. You're living in a movie. You're an actor or actress, and that's it. So go be the best little devil you can be. These are no-brainers here. All these mathematics and alchemy and science and numbers, it's over and over and showing the same patterns is just crazy. So let's get into some numerology on Martin John Bryant, who took out 35 people on April 28th. Here's his name in numerology: 50, 50. In God we trust, right on the back of the dollar bill. 50. It's tied to this element called tin, which is in Latin, it's stannum. And it just so happens that the worst massacre in Australia's history, April 28th, is the 118th, 119th day of the year. And is it a coincidence that the 50th element has an atomic mass? It's most abundant of 118 and 119. It has the 119 as well. It's most abundant is 119. This is going to be isotope 119. Is that a coincidence? And even if you take the 38, his birth card, and you add it to the house that it sits in, 38 and 12, what's 38 and 12? 50. 50. If you're a fan of the medicine deck, it's the alligator. Okay, the alligator. What about his life path, his numerology, his soul contract? You add up the single digits. You can do it other ways. This is pretty common. Break all the digits down from individual and you add them up. 35. He killed 35 people. He got 35 years in prison. 35 in the string of the golden ratio. Occupies digit 57 and 58. He was born on May 7th, otherwise written as 57. 58 is puppet master. How much more support do we need to see? You're living in a scripted reality, ladies and gentlemen. You have to make lemonade out of it. I mean, when I see these stories, I'm grateful I didn't get this code this guy got. Sitting in jail, man, for the rest of his life. And I'm going to say, didn't have a choice. That's my final answer. He did not have a choice. When I look at stories like that, it makes me grateful that I didn't get that. So, as fate would have it, they made a movie out of this guy. And they just spelled his name in reverse. It's called Nitram. Martin is his name, Nitram. And, he's got 35 counts of murder. He's serving 35 life sentences. And the guy who wrote this movie has a numerology of 35. How about that? Coincidence? The word simulation. That's what you're living. What does it mean to be in a simulation? It's a movie. You're inside of a damn movie. Truman Show. Even Truman Show. The Truman Show is 57 in numerology. I've shown this over and over and over and over. A lot of you great decoders, over and over. What about the actor they casted to be Martin? Caleb Landry Jones. This is the guy they casted to play this. I haven't watched this. I don't think I will. But this is the guy they casted. He won some kind of award for best actor in this movie. But how about this? Are you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. He was born on December 7th. That's 127. And then this guy was born on May 7th, which is the 127th day of the year. Are they really sitting down? And do you realize what it goes into casting people just to get them to play the part? All the contracts, and you got your agent, and you got to go work out for the part. And really? 127, 127? 127 is tied to Tellurium. Tellurium is 52. Prison Planet is 52. We can continue to go on and on. This is the 31st prime number. Ride or Die is 31. It's just ridiculous. I could have went and gone gangbusters just on this, but let's keep going. How about the house? This is the childhood house that Martin Bryant grew up in, right here. And you can watch this. I'm going to leave this actual video, this 47-minute video, covering this story. This is the right off of it. It's house number 65. So I went and did research on the address, and there it is. 65 Augusta Road, Lena Valley, Tasmania, 7008. That's the full address and the numerology of it instead of abbreviating road. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Mind control. Okay? It's got 30 letters. Role play is 30. So the 65 is a big deal in the whole entire aspect of this. Besides this, come on. 122 antimony, not alone. Your mind is not your own. And then what about that 65? Well, we're going to bring it into the string of the golden ratio, and it just goes right back to this kid 65 occupies digit 30 and 31. And what's 30 and 31? 61. What's the country code for Australia? 61. What's the golden ratio? 1.61. 1.61. 30 and 31. 30. 30 is role play, folks, right here. His name's Martin, 17. Role is 17. Play. Role play. He was being role played. Go watch the interview, folks. It's bone chilling. Like the kid, like just, wow. I don't have no words. I have no words. So here's more of the story. So at 19 years old, he meets this lady, Helen Harvey, and she was a lottery winner. So she had a ton of money, and he started living at her place, I guess, taking care of all these cats and dogs and all this story. You have to go read it yourself. Anyway, she ends up dying in a car crash that he was in. He got injured really badly, and the story goes that he actually, a lot of people think he yanked the wheel, and they ended up getting into a head-on collision, and she passed. And I guess the story was that it wasn't the first time he was grabbing the wheel, because he was crazy a little bit. Like, if you go watch some of the psychiatrists, anyways. So she passes on. I'm not saying that that's exactly what happened, but it's pretty easy to see maybe these connections. So he inherits all this money, and he gets put in her will. Okay? He gets put in her will. I mean, even the subtleties, like, look at this. The 1 and the 3. Do you realize that's the 13? Like, that's game. The word game is 13. The January 3rd card, the Jack of Spades, which is card number 50. What's his name? What was his name? 50. The Jack of Spades is January 3rd. His name is 50. I mean, come on, folks. Are they really coding this like this to put it in your face and mock you? I mean, is this lady trying to pull one over on you? No way. Here's the address and numerology. 30 Clare Street, 113. What's 113? It's the 30th prime number. Role play. Okay, all that stuff was supposed to happen. There are no accidents. There are no mistakes. And, I've covered this many times. Here are the 8 known blood types. They equal 286. The element from Japan, where it was discovered, called nihonium. Japan being the land of the rising sun. This is the flag. It's got a red blood cell right on it. They're going to say it's the sun, but I say it's a red blood cell. And there's the 286. 286 is the total numerology of the 8 known blood types. You're going to have one of these. And it's tied to 113. You see the connection? Your blood types are being role played. You're being role played, folks. I know some of you're going to refute that. You're not going to accept that. And again, I'm not here to twist your arm, but I got 400 plus videos now supporting over and over and over that we're being role played, we're being used, and where you're living in a movie. So here's where it gets, you got to go watch this whole video, because they interviewed him. It was really tough to hear because the audio quality was really crappy, but he's just laughing. But remember, he's losing it, man. His mind, he's like a kid. And you got to go do the whole research on the story, because a lot of people say, oh, he's laughing. Why would you laugh? Like, you got to go watch the whole story and then make your decision. Okay? But this was really chilling. And I'm going to actually stop this right now, and I'm going to play it for you, and then I'm going to come back and finish it. So here you go.
Mr. Warren, hold on.
AR-15. See, if people didn't do these unfortunate things, you guys wouldn't have a job.
Well, there's a lot of truth in that, man, let me tell you.
That one there? Yes.
Yeah.
That was the one.
This is the one.
It's a sweet little gun.
All right, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is exactly what Martin said during that interview with the cops. He said, if people didn't do these unfortunate things, you guys wouldn't have a job. This is yin yang. This is good and evil, folks. That's what exists in this reality to keep it going. The dark and the light. It's 59 letters. That's the game of life. And 13 is tied to play. Game is 13. Role play. 13 is the death card. Okay. And the 260 for the numerology goes right to this element called nobelium. It comes from Alfred Nobel for the Nobel Prize, and it means master teacher. Because if you go to that on the periodic table and you come down here and you look at the picture they chose right here under the uses and properties, there it is. It's a Japanese ideograph and it means master teacher. Okay? Now you got to make heads or tails of what you think this interprets to, but pretty crystal clear. Master teacher is 44. Plutonium is 40. Plutonium is 44. Underworld is 44. All tied to Pluto, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But this is exactly the timestamp of when he finished saying this statement. 28 minutes. Remember, Dr. Feelgood released on the 28th. This happened on the 28th of April, and it was 16 seconds. 28 plus 16, 44. Okay? If people didn't do these unfortunate things, you guys wouldn't have a job. This is that's true. Like, there was no crime, cops wouldn't have a job. The reason why people get employed, because there's crime, so that keeps the whole thing going. The drugs keep the whole thing going. Crime keeps police and FBI, it keeps them going. It keeps them employed. You got to start digging and looking at how this reality works, and it ain't man running the show here. This kid's mind was not his own. That's my final answer on this. I've done enough research with this. Here's the timestamp of when he finished saying that. 14, 14, 06, 16. When you add it up, 14 plus 14 plus 6 plus 16, you're going to get the number 50. 50. I mean, they did this interview on July 4th, which is the Jack of Diamonds, which is card 37, which remember where 37 was and not tied to the number 77. In 1996, which was a leap year. This is yin yang. So this is Australia. So it's July 4th. They did this interview. The Jack of Diamonds card 37. 37, and you just go right back up to here. And there it is. 77, 37th digit. The truth shall make you free. Folks, you're being used. Okay? That's that. You're being role played. This guy was being role played. This guy's being role played. He wouldn't have a job if people weren't around like this. I know it's horrific. I'm not making any excuses here. But we live in a horrific world. It's predator prey here. Go study nature. So many predators. I mean, anyway, here's the car Martin drove. A yellow Volvo 244. This was the model. And just like that, there you go. Plutonium. Plutonium. 94 is going to break down to 13. 13 is the death card. Okay, you can break down the license plate, CG. I'm going to break this down during my astrology breakdown of this, but there it was. I mean, come on. See, if you're thinking that man's setting this up, so they slapped a license plate on the car, which I'm going to break this down, and he really didn't drive a Volvo 244. That was just like, it's all fake. It's all staged. They did it perfectly because they knew plutonium was 244. So this car, Volvo, you think Volvo created the 244 because it was linked to plutonium? I mean, anyway, I don't know. But here's some theology now. Here's where you're going to get the aspects of Lucifer, which is plutonium, which is Prometheus, which is Hades, the underworld, which is the dirt beneath your feet, which needs your bones for the soil. Okay, you have the feet stand on the ground. The feet are Pisces, the two fish, the 2 feet. Being used, folks, and this is where this scripture comes in. Like, it talks about Lucifer being cut down to the ground, weakening the nations. Okay, well, it has a contract with the sun above. You have the black sun, which is Earth and Pluto and Hades, and then you get the white sun above. They have a contract to keep this reality going. If you study Greek mythology, it was Zeus running the heavens, Poseidon running the waters, Pluto running the underworld. That was the contract. And Zeus is an Olympian. Olympian is the number 30 in numerology. Okay, but there it was. The full Hebrew, it was 94. And even Gematria, the killing name, if you watched my Gematria decoded, it was 68. Slipknot had that song called Gematria, the killing name. That equals 68. It's plutonium. Okay, this is the underworld. All right, it's the ultimate desire. This is Westworld, folks. This is a movie and it's not real. And this is really where, this is probably the humdinger of them all right here. So I have been doing a lot of this decoding with the Bible. the most popular spellbook on the world stage. And I did this during my Central Intelligence Agency, breaking down their unofficial motto. And if you go do Isaiah 45 verses 7, I'll just encourage some of you to go do it. You're going to add up to the number 914, and you got to know what that number means. But anyway, here are the 14 chapters of Isaiah. This is 14 verses 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add up all the verses of each of the chapters. So Isaiah 1 has 31 verses, Isaiah 2, 22 verses, Isaiah 3, 26 verses, and all the way down until we get to Isaiah 14 verses 12. And here, through the trusty calculator, I think I missed the 12, but I double checked it. So I may have had a little typo in there, but it's going to give you the number 286. Just almost caught me off guard because I missed it actually should be 12, not 14. But anyway, you can go and double check this. I would encourage all of you, please be a skeptic. Go double check my work. I did it 3 times. All these verses. It equals 286. So this is talking about Lucifer weakening the nations. What's 286? It's tied to man in the box. It's tied to the I am that I am. And it's tied to this right here. It's tied to the 8 known blood types. 286. You're being role played. Okay? And so it's tied to man in the box. Check out my bloodline decoded. Check out my man in the box. Check out my down in a hole decoded. But Alice in Chains, Alice being Alice in Wonderland, in chains being down here in this reality, maybe never getting out of this reality. There's a song called Man, their first hit single ever, Man in the Box. That's you and me. We're in the box. You're in the box. And the length of the song, 4 minutes and 46 seconds. I turned that into total seconds. It became 286 seconds. That led to Nihonium's atomic mass. That led to the 8 known blood types through numerology. This is a scripted reality, ladies and gentlemen. You are in the box. You are stuck jack in the box. Your blood is in the box. And then it leads to this right here, ladies and gentlemen. To kind of finish up this decode, I have a few more slides left. Okay? If you're somebody who studies theology and it's not what you think it is. Well, now you know, because, who's the I am? Well, you say it all the time. That's you. You say, I am this, I am. That's you. Ultimately, it's you when you say that. So can you say you're the God? Well, the God is using you, whatever the God might be, but let's kind of get some determination on what the God is. And the most popular spell book coming from Judaism and Christianity is going to be right to this scripture right here. Exodus 3 verses 14. That's going to be pi. I am that I am. Look what it says. I will become what I choose to become. That's you. That's me. I will become what I choose to become. Here it is in Hebrew, ladies and gentlemen. It's a freaking 30. And that's tied to this 113, which is the 30th prime number. The 113th element has that 286. What's the 286? Our blood types. Right here. Okay? I will become what I choose to become. Okay? I am that I am. And this is what you say. I'm this. I'm going to go do that. The 30th element in the periodic table, zinc. The word Santa Claus equals 30. The word demiurge equals 30. The New Age name for the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, Jehovah, equals 30. 65 was the number of Martin's house that he grew up in. 38 is his birth card. I mean, how much more do you want me to show you here? That you're living in a scripted reality, and this guy Martin, okay, he was being used. He didn't have a choice. He did not have a choice. As horrific as it was, didn't have a choice. He was being used. Okay, so let's break this down even more to go a little bit further. I'm going to do the alchemology. And what alchemology is taking numerology and then taking those number outcomes and matching them to the elements in the periodic table. Now I'm using English reduction all the way down. So the single digits, I'm going to show you the double digits here in just a minute. So it's hydrogen, boron, hydrogen, lithium, helium, hydrogen, boron. I am that I am. You add those up using the trusty calculator, and the number you're going to get is 59.14. And what's so important about the 59? It's tied to contract with God. It's tied to the game of life. Contract with God, game of life. 14 is tied to the word time. The word God equals 14. The word Satan equals 14. Okay? What do you think the God is now, ladies and gentlemen? You still think it's some, it's got your back? And then if you add up the 59 and 14, you're going to get 73. And if you've been paying attention, you're on television. 73. Okay, you're being used to be, you're being watched. So next time you're in the shower and you're doing something, well, just remember you're being watched. Okay, you're never alone, ladies and gentlemen. The 73rd element is called tantalum, comes from the Greek word tantalos. It's 106. Our two base pairs of our DNA equals 106. Adenine, cysteine, those are 106, tied to the double helix. You're on television, you're being used, folks. Right there. And you're a puppet on strings. You just don't have the strings. I know maybe not you, because you're the only exception out of everybody listening to this. Not you, though. Not you, but everybody else. But not you. I mean, I am, but you're not. No, I know. You get a hall pass. And so it kind of comes down to this. So, because it's 12, 6, 12, there's another way to do alchemology. Instead of doing the single digits, you can do 12, which is magnesium, 6, which is carbon, and 12, which is magnesium. So I've done these right here. Magnesium, carbon, magnesium, it equals 84. And then when you do the I am that I am through the double digits, the compound numbers of Hebrew, going to its fullest extent, not reducing them down to single digits, it's a match to the 84. And what's the 84 tied to? Well, it's tied to the moon. The 84th element is tied to the element polonium. And there's that 208. Remember, Dr. Feelgood, 28. The incident, the worst massacre in Australia on April 28th. 28 is tied to Lucifer. Lucifer equals 28. Architect equals 28. Pluto equals 28. The god of the underworld. A contract with the sun. This is all contractual, folks. You're under a contract. Ed Harris, the guy they casted to play Christoph, who was on the moon trying to control Truman, was born on the 28th. Polonium, when you go study it, it's tied to the moon. Look at this thing. And when you go down here and look what it says. It's the first spacecraft of Soviet Luna program. And these were the first rovers to explore the moon's surface powered by polonium. Now, I'm not going to debate whether or not we went to the moon, but I don't care because I see what the description of this element is all about. That's all I need to see. Okay. And I mean, is it a coincidence? He was casted to play Christoph, who was running Truman. He's born on the 28th. Polonium's average atomic mass is 208. Dr. Feelgood's 28. The massacre happened on the 28th. I mean, how much more evidence do we need here, folks? So are we going to get a break from this role play? When we shift ages, are we going to get out of this mind control as we move into the age of Aquarius? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. Here's my last slide and then I'm going to get into the astrology. So again, here's the Exodus 3 verses 14 where it says, I am that I am. So I did the same thing. I added up the verses. 20. This is all part of the source, man. It's all numbers, letters, and symbols, man. 22 verses for Exodus 1, Exodus 2, 25, Exodus 3, verses 14. You add those up and you get 61. Remember, Australia's country code, 61. This is where the massacre happened. Port Arthur, 61 country code, 1.61. Prometheum. Check out my Prometheus decoded. Okay, it's Prometheus, Hades, Pluto, Lucifer, all one and the same. They're all one in the same, ladies and gentlemen. So there you have it. You want to know what the I am is? Right there. All right, so now let me just finish with the astrological piece now. So if you're a fan of astrology, I'm going to show you a little bit about Martin's chart right here. Born on May 7th, and then the actual April 28th date of when the massacre happened in 1996. So I'm going to shift now over into my Photoshop and show you a little bit about how this works here. I don't know if I'll even need this, but let's just put it on anyway. Okay, so I got a lot going on here, ladies and gentlemen. Please pay attention. I'm going to be doing more of the breakdown of the astrological chart of the actual massacre itself. And I'm going to do my best to narrate this for you. But ladies and gentlemen, there are obviously a lot of moving parts to an astrological map. You can't just, utilize one house. You have to look at all 12 houses. All 12 houses, and every single planet here is working as a team. They work as a unit. Okay, this is not an individual based aspect to take into consideration. This is a unit, a team effort. Okay, and when you look over here in Martin's chart when he was born, now I didn't have his birth time, so the houses may change. I just did it at noontime. The houses may change, but the zodiac signs will not. Okay, so I probably won't be referencing the house numbers, but I will reference the zodiac signs, the big standouts. Remember how big the 12 was, because the Queen of Diamonds, okay, which is his birth card, is card 38. The Queen of Diamonds, they all sit in the 12th house of Pisces, which is the hangman, and that's exactly where the energy of the moon was at the birth time for Martin Bryant. Okay, he had the moon inside the house of Pisces, the zodiac sign of Pisces, I should say. And then you had Kronos there, Father Time. Now, a lot of you think, oh, there's the devil. Well, again, this is a unit. This is a team effort. This is not just one planet standing out and acting alone. This is a team unit. You can get into the archons. It would be all the planets. But, as fate would have it, ladies and gentlemen, he's got the wound of Chiron. The wound of Chiron next to Kronos with the moon, and he has Black Moon Lilith there, all in the 12th zodiac sign called Pisces, which is exactly where his Queen of Diamonds would sit. The Queen of Diamonds sits in the house of Pisces. He was born with the Queen of Diamonds card. This is the house of the hangman. This guy had no freaking choice. No choice. He was destined to be a killer. Okay? Just like I've shown with Ted Bundy and many others. Okay? I broke down MLK. He was going to get assassinated. Gandhi, he was going to get assassinated. It was in their charts. Didn't have a choice in the matter. The Span, he was 28 years old when he went through this massacre. It happened on April 28th. He was born on the 7th. It happened on the 28th. That's 35. He had got 35 counts of 35 murders. He got 35 years, 35 life sentences. Simulation is 35. So many sinks just with the dates alone. He's 28 years old, folks. 28 years old. So let's now come to the actual chart for the massacre on the 28th of April. Where was the sun at? Now, this is around 11:45 a.m. I went by what the story was when the first kills happened around noontime. And so the sun was right here in the sign of Aries on April 28th. Okay? And the sun was not just in Aries, but now we have the layer to look through the nakshatras, which are the micromanagers or the instigators or the influences of each zodiac sign. And it was in the sign of the nakshatra of Bharani, which is Yama, the god of death. Which is, if you study Hinduism, Yama is tied to Pluto. So he's got his sun, the spirit inside of him, in the sign of Aries, which is a fire sign, in the 11th house of social circles, and that means multiple people, killed 35 people, and he's got his god of war right next to the sun. In the sign of Aries, which is a fire sign, which is his testosterone, the masculine. This is the magician card here. If you take the tarot card, if you come to the house of Pisces, if you come to the zodiac sign of Pisces, it was in the 10th house when this massacre started. And just like that, the Kronos It's not only in there for his birth, it's there for the massacre itself. 28 years later, he's got the Chronos in the same exact sign of Pisces. And it's in its domicile house because Chronos lives in house number 10. So we have a Piscean energy here, okay? And we have to take a look at where the house of Pisces is supposed to be, which is over here. But Taurus is occupying that. And Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is there in its own domicile house. And then he has Mercury here. And Mercury is the planet of communication. Has a lot to do with the mind of this kid. Okay? And it's in this nakshatra called Kritika, which means the knife. Now, he didn't have a knife, but it meant killer. 3 is the brain. 3 is lithium. This, if you go study this kid, man, I mean, wow, didn't have a choice. Did not have a choice. What about down here? This energy here is such a big, important part of this whole astrological map for this massacre. 35 people dead. The 6th house is a big one because he has, or I'm sorry, he didn't have, this day on April 28th, Pluto, the god of the underworld, Shiva, Prometheus, Hades, Lucifer, is in the 6th house in the sign of Scorpio. Now the 6th is going to be the house of Virgo. So we look to Virgo here. Where's Virgo? In the 4th house, which means structure and root. And what has he got here? He's got the wound of Chiron, or I shouldn't say him. This day, which he did his act on, the wound of Chiron is in the presence of Virgo with the drive of Rahu. The ultimate desire, Rahu, in the 4th house, which is ruled by Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. How big the moon was in all this. His moon's in his 3rd house through the sign of Leo. Leo's a fire sign. 3 is Gemini. 3 means the brain. Gemini's over here in the ascendant, the rising position. He's got his black moon lit up there. Across the way is Jupiter. Jupiter, Zeus. Okay, in the sign of Sagittarius, in the 7th house, this forming this axis, the 7-1 axis right here. You just got to jump around here, but coming back to this Pluto in the 6th house, it through Scorpio, and it's in the 17th nakshatra, the 17th card in the tarot is the star. During this day, through the screenplay of the movie, this kid was the star of the show. And I don't mean to put him on a pedestal because it was very horrific, all these people dying. I'm just saying of what, this is a movie you're looking at here, folks. It really happened. A lot of people, obviously, a lot of families, horrific things, but you're being watched and used. This is a movie. And this is the killer, Pluto, right here, in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto and Mars. So it's very happy here in the 6th house of Virgo. And what is the 6th element? Carbon. What are we made up of? Carbon. How many lives did he take? 35. 35 carbons that he took right here. You can clearly see that. And across the way is the house of the Pisces house, which is Taurus, the bull. He's got Mercury, the messenger here. You can clearly see Mercury and Pluto working in unison. The 12 and the 6, there's the 126. This is the Christ axis right here. Okay, all this right here, and it's carbon based, taking carbon out right here. And you come back down here to the house of Cancer, which is being used by Virgo. Boy, I can't talk tonight. Virgo is occupying the house of Cancer. Virgo owns this house right here. So you just come down here in Virgo, and Virgo's the 6th sign, and there's carbon again. He's got the wound of Chiron. He's got the ultimate desire of Rahu, taking out the carbon. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the card for the day of that massacre, the 6 of clubs. This is the messenger card, and it's got the big fat 6 on it. And if you watch my Astro Alchemy, the 6 of clubs is going to sit in the sign of Virgo. It's going to sit right here. On this day, ladies and gentlemen, the card acting through Martin is going to sit through the sign of Virgo. Virgos are the 6th sign. Carbon is the 6th element, 666. We're made up of carbon. It's the lovers card that occupies Virgo. He took out all these people who are the lovers. And then Chiron and Rahu are in the 13th nakshatra, 13th card in the tarot is the death card. You can't get any more obvious this. Killing people right here. The combination of this, crystal clear. The wound of Chiron, Rahu, the desire to do that, carbon-based. The Six of Clubs, the messenger card, sitting through the house of Virgo and the house of Cancer, Cancer being ruled by the moon. And then this Six of Clubs actually sits in the 6th house, and it's now going to come up here and act through Pluto, the destroyer, Hades, Shiva, etc., etc. And that's why these cards, they move around, okay? And how these astrological signs move around. All right, and you then have up here in the 8th house, which is the house of Scorpio, which is down here. You have acting out through Scorpio. You have Uranus, the number 92, and Uranium, which is maybe running the whole shebang. And then you have Poseidon, which perhaps maybe running the screenplay right there neck and neck, all in the sign of Capricorn and running through the house of Scorpio, which is down here. So this house of Capricorn through Scorpio is going to merge with the house of Virgo and house number 6. And then this is going to merge with house number 4 because Virgo's occupying the 4th house. And then the 4th house is going to be tied to Cancer. And then you go to Cancer and it's the 2nd house. And where's the 2nd house? Taurus. And you have to come up here. And it's just, all you have to do is follow this stuff. And you can see all these planets, all these celestials, all these nakshatras, and all these houses, they all play a role together as a unit. All right, even his car. I told you I'd get into his license plate, CG2835, that's a 24. That reduces down to the number 6. This was a 6 of clubs day. You go to the 6th house. What was in the 6th house? Pluto the destroyer. Pluto the destroyer, tied to his license plate. So if you think man is actually bolting on license plates because they know that the 6 is going to fit inside here because Pluto is there, you're crazy if you're thinking that. Mankind is being used. Remember, this was Volvo 244. This model number was 244. Plutonium is 244 right there, folks. And it's a 24/6. There's the 6th house. Volvo 244. Plutonium's weight is 244. Pluto's in the 6th house. Pretty much a dead giveaway. 6 is carbon, death. He was the star of taking people out. Okay? He was the enemy here. But he was doing his job because his mind was not his own. His mind was not his own, folks. Okay? That's how this all works right here, all in unison. There's no escaping this. Your charts are going to play out exactly the way these are. There's so many layers you can add into this. That's why astrology, when you know how to read your chart, you have such a better angle on how you react to this reality. And I think that's one of the name of the games is how you react. Because these things right here, ladies and gentlemen, they're hungry. They want to get fed. And the only way they get fed is through the reactions of all of us. Obviously, when you're asleep, his mind was not his own, very disturbed individual, didn't have a choice. Sitting in jail right now, didn't have a choice. Part of his screenplay, didn't have a choice. I mean, his Pluto was in his 3rd house. His 3rd house over here, the 3rd house of the massacre, the moon's there. Pluto and the moon. Didn't have a choice, folks. Scripted reality, man. Scripted reality extreme here. He was the hangman and his mind was not his own. The Queen of Diamonds, tied to the binary system, etc., etc. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the astrological map. That was the last of my slides. That's the end of this presentation. I hope you got something out of this one. Again, I didn't have any plans of doing this. I was watching a stand-up comedian. He mentioned this, and then I looked it up, and I started decoding it last night. And there it was. I mean, I watched all the interviews that I could, hours and hours, and then I started putting this thing together. And when I opened up the astrological map, when I opened this thing up right here, I could clearly see it. I mean, it's just right there, right in your face. And it's just so many moving parts, from the car to his birthday, to his life path, to the house he was born in, to the lady he got money from. I mean, it was all part of his screenplay to set him up. And just from what he said during that interview, which was kind of chilling, man. If it wasn't for people like us, you wouldn't have a job. I mean, that's just the way this reality works. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear what you saw. Keep your comments coming. Thanks for all your support. Sending you guys a ton of love. I know this topic is not, like a lot of people, they want me to decode nicer stuff. I do that, and nobody wants to watch them. So, maybe I'll come out with a full decode on Gandhi, but I'll show you how scripted his reality was. I already did a mini one on him. But if you have any suggestions on what you think would be, I get a lot of people asking me a lot of topics, but what would be a good decode to do on maybe something more beautiful in this reality? I'll show you the same things, the same outcomes. Okay? It's all scripted, all part of this reality. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to hear what you saw. Keep your comments coming. Just keep them cordial. You don't have to agree with everything I say. These are my truths. So make the truth your own. That's the only thing that matters. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for today. Until next time, my name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. We will see you later.